Hello well-wishers and welcome to my channel Aspiring Minds. In today's video, we are going to do the line-by-line meaning and analysis of Act 2, Scene 2. So grab your virtual seats and let's begin. Just to give you a quick overview of what's going to be happening in this scene, we will be seeing Lady Macbeth waiting very eagerly, anxiously for Macbeth to return, because this is the scene where King Duncan is going to be murdered and Macbeth will be entering carrying a bloody dagger in his hand, extremely disturbed. Now at this time, we will also see how Lady Macbeth is going to take that dagger from him, and she is having a plan in mind to smear the blood of King Duncan on the servants and put the blame on them. And at the end, I'm going to discuss the importance of this scene because it's one of the most important scenes of the play, and we will also be seeing what are the important themes that come out from this scene. The scene begins with Lady Macbeth entering. This is still taking place, the scene in the castle of Macbeth. So here Lady Macbeth is saying that which had made them drunk. That is, she's referring to the wine, that the wine which made those guards, the servants, drunk has actually made Lady Macbeth very bold and brave, because something like wine which has stopped the proper functioning of the senses of the servants and it has almost quenched or satisfied their thirst has actually given me a lot of fire. It has given me a lot of motivation. Hark, peace. It was the owl that shrieked. That is, she could hear the sound of the owl shouting, and then she says the fatal bellman which gives the sternest good night. So she's saying over here that because she heard the owl shouting, it seems that there is some kind of a death happening somewhere. Macbeth has gone already to commit the murder of King Duncan at this time. The doors are open. The servants are drunk and sleeping and they are no longer on their duty. I have also put a drug in their bedtime drinks because remember, I have drugged their posits. That's what she says. So there was a drink which they were supposed to have at bedtime. She had already mixed something in it so that they sleep deeply and Macbeth could go ahead and do the murder of King Duncan safely. Macbeth at this time says, who's within what hope? Because he's in a very disturbed state of mind. You can understand a person who's going to commit murder is obviously going to be very disturbed and nervous at this time. At this time, Lady Macbeth is also getting worried because all the preparation for killing King Duncan had been done by her. So she's saying that I'm afraid perhaps the servants have woken up and the deed of killing King Duncan could not be done. She's just, guessing over here. The attempt and not the deed confounds us. So she's saying that we are going to be in trouble if the deed is not done. Hark, I had laid the daggers ready. He could not miss them. He's saying everything was kept ready. The daggers and all the things that Macbeth would require to kill King Duncan was ready. But why is it that, the deed seems like it has not been done? And Lady Macbeth says that if King Duncan did not resemble her own father, she herself would have done the deed. But because she could see a fatherly figure in King Duncan, that is why she had to tell Macbeth to kill King Duncan, because fathers are very dear to a daughter. So that's what she sees. You could also see a reference over here. She's seeing a fatherly figure in King Duncan because King Duncan was the king of Scotland, so he was the highest authority. So maybe in those lines also she's associating King Duncan as a fatherly figure. At this time, Macbeth enters with the daggers and there's blood on them, and then she says, my husband. Macbeth says, I have done the deed. Did you hear any kind of noise? But this time the conversation continues and Lady Macbeth says that yes, I had heard the owl screaming and the crickets crying. But did not you speak? Were you talking to someone? So Macbeth says, when? Lady Macbeth says, now. Macbeth is still confused. He's asking that when I was coming down, I was talking to someone. Lady Macbeth says, yes. So Macbeth says, hark, who lies in the second chamber? So if Duncan is lying down and sleeping in one chamber, who's there in the other room? Lady Macbeth says that it is Donalbain who's sleeping in the other room. Macbeth says it's such a sorry sight that, he is still sleeping and his father has already died. I have already done the deed and killed King Duncan. Lady Macbeth says that it is foolish of you to be calling it a sorry sight. It is such a proud moment for them because they have killed King Duncan, and now the chance of Macbeth becoming the king of Scotland is very high. Now at this time, Macbeth says that when he was in King Duncan's chamber, he saw one of the servants laughing in his sleep and the other one cried murder, and it awoke each other. But when Macbeth stood and listened to them, he heard them saying prayers, and then he saw that the servants had gone back to sleep again, because remember, they were intoxicated because Lady Macbeth had mixed something with their drink. At this time, Lady Macbeth says that they two are sleeping together. So Macbeth says that one of them cried, "God bless us," and the other said, "Amen," as if they had seen Macbeth killing King Duncan, and they had also seen the blood on Macbeth's hands. Now at this time, Macbeth says that he was listening very carefully to the cries of fear, but Macbeth could not say amen and God bless us, because remember, he has done something wrong, so out of guilt he is not even being able to remember or take the name of God in a very serious manner. So Lady Macbeth says, consider it not so deeply. So Lady Macbeth is like, it's okay if you were not able to take God's name or say amen, it is okay, don't have to think so much about it. Macbeth is still not giving up on the idea that why could he not pronounce amen. He's saying that when I was going to take the name of God and say amen, the word amen got stuck in his throat. So Lady Macbeth says that these deeds are not to be thought of in such a deep manner as the way you are putting so much thought to it, otherwise it will drive people like you and me mad. So Macbeth at this time says that I heard someone crying, and what was he saying? Sleep no more, Macbeth has murdered sleep, that is innocent sleep that straightens out the tangled silken threads of care. So basically he's saying that because you have killed King Duncan in sleep, he could hear a voice saying that because he killed King Duncan while he was sleeping, Macbeth will never ever be able to sleep peacefully, because sleep is supposed to be a time when people are able to sleep safely. They have the most innocent sleep, even the most tangled threads, that all the tensions and worries of a person get healed and cured when a person is sleeping. But because he has done this kind of a deed, he will not be able to get sleep, which is like a healing medicine to the troubled mind and the most nourishing dish that is served by nature in the feast of life. So basically Macbeth is going to be deprived of sleep because he has cheated on King Duncan by killing him while he was sleeping. So Lady Macbeth is getting very confused at this time, and she says, what do you mean? So Macbeth over here is giving a further clarification to make Lady Macbeth understand what he's saying. He's saying that the voice was crying out to me that Macbeth will never be able to sleep anymore. It added that you, Macbeth, are the Thane of Glamis and you have murdered sleep, and therefore you, being the Thane of Cawdor, will not ever sleep again, and therefore till the time Macbeth is alive, you are never going to be able to get a peaceful sleep. So Lady Macbeth says that who was it that was crying? What was this voice that you were hearing? You are unnecessarily breaking down the strength that is there in your mind by thinking about these useless thoughts. Don't think so much about it. I will go right now and smear the blood or smudge the blood of King Duncan. If he's still bleeding, I'm going to smear that blood on the face and hands of the servants so that they can be framed that it is as if the servants, because they were drunk, have killed King Duncan, and Macbeth and Lady Macbeth will, be safe from this deed. So Macbeth is saying that I will not be able to go anymore. I'm afraid to see what I have done just now myself. Lady Macbeth gets very angry. She's saying, infirm of purpose, that is, she's saying how weak you are in your mind. Give me the dagger. I'm going to go and quickly smear the blood. A sleeping man and a dead man almost looks the same. So she's showing utmost courage over here. She's saying that it is only a child who fears the sight of a devil If Duncan is still bleeding, I will paint the faces of the servants with blood so that it will appear as if the servants have killed King Duncan. She exits with daggers and there's a knock heard. So Macbeth says, who is knocking? What has happened to me? Every noise that Macbeth is hearing, he is getting troubled by it. He's saying how blood stained my hands have become. He feels that there is a lot of blood on his hands, and then he gives a reference to one of the most important lines, that even with all great Neptune's ocean, even if he tries to wash his hand with all the water that is there in the seas and oceans, the blood, he will still not be able to remove that blood from his hand. That is, he is metaphorically talking that a murder that he has committed, he will never be able to erase that guilt from his mind and heart, and even if he does so, it is going to make the whole ocean red with the blood that he has, because that is how great King Duncan was, and he has killed such a great person, a great personality like King Duncan. Now at this time, Lady Macbeth enters once again and she assures Macbeth that don't be so troubled, because now I too have the same blood that is there on your hands is on my hand now, but I would be ashamed if I was such a weak-minded person. Then she hears a knocking at the south gate. She says, let us quickly go back to our room. A little water will help us to remove the stains of blood that are there on our hands, and then we will be free from the crime. Everything will be easy then, and you have to be very firm and strong-headed. Listen to all the action that takes place around you. Put on your dressing gown. Otherwise, people will think that we have not gone back to sleep. We will try to act as normal as possible. At this time, Macbeth says that it was better for me to remain permanently lost in thought than to be conscious at this time, because I am constantly getting disturbed by the blood or the murder that I have committed. Wake Duncan with your knocking. I wish you could do so. So when he hears the knocking another time, he says that I wish I could bring back King Duncan alive with that knocking, but that cannot be done because Duncan has died. This is one of the most important scenes of the play because it shows the psychological impact on Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. It also shows the contrast in the practical approach towards the murder of King Duncan of Lady Macbeth, and how Macbeth is constantly tossing and turning with that inner conflict, that sense of guilt. At the same time, we see how Lady Macbeth is focused on covering up the crime, while Macbeth is feeling disturbed and tormented by his conscience. That is, his inner voice is not letting him be at peace for the crime that he's committed of killing King Duncan. Firstly, we see how there's ambition and corruption. The scene shows how Macbeth's ambition, driven by Lady Macbeth's influence, has corrupted Macbeth to the point that he is so ready to kill King Duncan. Next, we see guilt and conscience. The scene delves deeper into the character of Macbeth and Lady Macbeth and the guilt they suffer and the struggle to cope up with the consequences or the effects of their actions. Macbeth and Lady Macbeth's psychological state is revealed over here. We also see this scene has deception. That is, Lady Macbeth's plan to frame the servants for the murder is an example of deception. Throughout the play, we will see how one person is cheating on the other person just to gain power and reach the top. And we also see this to be one of the most violent scenes because the mention of the blood and the symbolic significance is evident over here, because violence and bloodshed that has started now is going to continue to disturb the mind and the mental state of Macbeth throughout the play. So that's it from this video. I hope you liked it. Do hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more such future updates. Thank you for watching. Bye.